hope you're interested in this evening's program. My name is Barbara King. I'm the Pranis. I'm a lead voters training moderator, and I'm here to facilitate the evening candidates forum. As you can see, there are 6 candidates running for 3 seats. We are going to be starting with opening statements by the candidates. They will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. Then we'll proceed to the question and answer part of the program. If you have something you want to write down, one of our members is handing out cards, or
they're very welcome.
oh, they're right over. Okay. And then you can just walk it over to me or whatever. We do have plenty of questions already to start. They were submitted by email. And we hope we'll be able to address most of the issues that are on mind. After the question and answer period, we'll have closing statements of 2 minutes. There are timers in the front row. At 30 seconds left in your part, in the total allotment of time, the yellow card will go up. When your time is up, the red card will go up. Please try and complete your sentence. You don't have to end in the middle of a sentence. You can just say 3 or 5 more words, and that would be it. Okay, so I think the candidates decided, no, they're not, because they are in speaking order for opening statements. No? All right. Okay. We are going to start with Mr. Oleg Kaplan giving his 1 minute opening statement.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to say thank you, everybody, for coming. I know we have other options, other places to be. My name is Oleg Kaplan. I've been living in Saddlebrook for 14 years. I have 3 kids, so I have vested interest, right? My best friend, my middle child, right? She came here, wave to everybody, please. She came here to support me. Hopefully, by the end of today, other kids will show up. This is my wife. About me, I'm an accountant by trade. I have a bachelor's degree in accounting. I have a master's degree in finance. I'm a certified public accountant in the state of New Jersey for roughly 10 years or so. I have a lot of ideas. I think I can improve working conditions for teachers, working for learning situation for students. So I have a lot of ideas, and with my background in business, I think that it would be useful for the town. Thank you so much.
Next will be Michael Accomando.
Good evening, my name is Michael Accomando. I'm running for re-election of the Board of Education. I'm married. I have 2 children in the district. I have 2 nephews in the district. I want to continue to hopefully provide what I've been providing with some of the past board members and current board members. Geez, brain fart. And I hope that I get the opportunity to do it again with some of the members up here. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for all coming. I'm Vin Laurentino. Just before I begin, I just want to give my condolences to the family of George Ryerson. If anybody knows George, he's a graduate of Saddlebrook High School here. George was a staple here in Saddlebrook, and one of the truly great people you'll ever meet. So if you take nothing from me tonight, please keep George's wife and daughter in your prayers. I'm a lifelong resident of Saddlebrook. I'm married to my wife, Sue, in the audience. Sue is a 6th grade teacher over at Smith School. We have 4 children that were all educated here in Saddlebrook. Currently, Anthony's a junior in the high school, Isabella's a senior. Our 2 oldest, Vincent and Gabrielle, are both graduates of Penn State. Vinny from the business school, Gab from the Skyers Honors College. And I say that not to brag, but to show that you can get an excellent education here in Saddlebrook. And my objective is to ensure that every child, no matter what their level, gets the same excellent education. And thank you for coming.
Thank you all for coming. Victoria Torvik, and most of you know me as Vicky.
I'm a 19-year resident of Saddlebrook. I've been married for 21 years. I have a 16-year-old daughter who is currently a junior here at the high school. I received my bachelor's degree in psychology from New Jersey City University and my master's degree in school counseling from Seton Hall. I've had the unique opportunity to work in every school in this district as aide or subbing. What I feel like I can bring to the board is a wealth of experience in special ed services from both professional and personal experiences. My daughter is a brain tumor survivor, and obtaining the proper services she needed upon her return to school was frustrating as a parent. My goal as a board member is to not have that happen to another family. It's difficult enough to deal with a devastating diagnosis of your child, but then to have to navigate the world of laws and accommodations can be overwhelming. So with the help of the administration and better communication, I hope we can make this a much less frustrating process.
My name is Haley Traverso. I've been an involved resident and school parent for the past 27 years. I've continued to remain active in PTA, PTO continuously for my 24-year tenure in the schools, with many more years to come as my 5-year-old granddaughter is sitting in the back. My community involvement includes 14 years of coaching and managing softball and Little League teams, and currently a kinder kick soccer coach for the little one in the back. I continue my involvement and awareness of the educational community with my regular attendance at Board of Education meetings. This allows for me to keep up to date on current issues and concerns. My career history as a manager, mediator, and full-time substitute teacher with a background in family law and juvenile justice has given me the analytical, leadership, and collaborative skill set necessary for this position. Our test scores need to be elevated in a proper manner, but conducive to each student's academic abilities, and our special education department needs consistency and stronger advocacy for the children that suffer. I have personally fought for change for my family, for others, for the district, and the town as a whole. I'm a trained manager, speaker, and negotiator. I know how to get things accomplished. I would be able to join the board as a non-conflicted member.
Sponsoring and moderating this event this evening. My name is Angela Robinson. I've been a resident of Saddlebrook for 28 years. I've been married to my husband Jim for 30 years, and my sons attended the Saddlebrook schools. My background includes a Bachelor of Business degree from Pace University and a Master's in Teaching degree from St. Peter's University. I've been a general education and a special education teacher, and currently I am employed as a learning consultant on a child study team. I've been a former PTA president at Franklin School and am actively involved in the Saddlebrook Educational Foundation since its inception in 2003, and have been a past president, treasurer, and trustee in the foundation. I have served on the Saddlebrook School Board of Education for over 13 years and am currently seeking re-election. I am passionate about raising the bar for our children and providing them with the education they deserve.
Tonight, and I'm going to give this question, and we'll have a minute to answer. What differentiates you from the other candidates and/or board members? And we're going to start with Ms. Robinson.
What differentiates me is mostly my experience and knowledge. I've been on the Board of Education for many years, on and off. I've seen the district and know the challenges and our strengths. I also have a background in education and a background in business, so I also bring that to the table. So I'm able to look at budgets and look at what we need to do. I also have been really volunteering my time and energy to the community for a long time.
Mr. Kaplan.
Well, what differentiates me, right, you can see I have different name, right? That's a joke, of course. I have a strong accent, right? You all can hear it, right? But again, I never did this job. I don't know other candidates, what they know. I have background in business, right? I always dealing with somebody else's money, right? So I think I can appropriate money more appropriately. I have different view. Different background, what else? And I guess I can bring, like financial background to Saddlebrook district. And I care about my kids. I want them to go to better schools. So But I guess that's everybody has the same. Thank you.
Victoria Torwood.
I don't know if it completely differentiates me. I don't want to say everybody else doesn't feel the same way, but I feel that my passion for doing what's right for the kids, I'm not one of those people that will sit back and complain about what's going on. It's one of the reasons that I went out when a position opened last year and went out to finish that position. I'd rather get in here and find out what's going on. I can be on the other side and not understand everything, but that's not for me. I have to come here and figure out how the things are done, and then I can understand it better and then hopefully help.
Mr. Laurentino.
I think what differentiates myself is I have extensive experience in the public sector employment. I've worked 27 and a half years at the Saddlebrook Police Department. Half of that of my career was a captain. I was fortunate enough to gain extensive experience in public sector management, budgeting, personnel. Through the course of my career, I've always furthered to better myself. I attended the Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command Executive Leadership Program. I'm a certified public manager with a 2-year program. I was fortunate to attend the FBI National Academy, which is executive leadership also. Also working in the police department, I got time to work extensively with the school system from the inside to get to know all the people, everybody who's involved, to see our strengths, our weaknesses, and I think I can apply my leadership management experience to bringing our district forward. I think I have the skills, the education, communication skills, the decision-making skills, the teamwork skills to work with everybody to try and bring our district forward to give the best possible education we can for our kids. Thank you.
Mr. Accomando.
I was going to say, please don't make me follow that. But I'll always do what's best for the staff and the students. If I have, everybody knows, if I have to do the squeaky wheel because nobody's going to say something, I'll do it, as long as it's the right thing to do. Since I've been on the board, I've helped to provide with other board members full-day kindergarten. Guidance counselors in each building. I believe more collaborative time with the teachers has been instituted. I've gotten donations from local vendors for our kids, but I'm not the type that tax myself on a tax, so I won't do that. But I'll always do what's best for the staff and the students in the community.
And Ms. Traverso.
I can ditto pretty much all of that, but what I will say is, if you know me really well, I've never gone into anything with less than 200%, ever. And I pretty much let people know it for the last 27 years that I've been here. I care more about the kids in this community than pretty much anything else. I mean, that's what my life has been, and it's still continuing, as I've mentioned a couple times already. But yes, like Mr. Laurentino, I've worked in the public sector. I have management skills, leadership skills, negotiating skills. Now, not as much as Ms. Robinson in the educational field, but yes, I have been a substitute teacher now for 3 years. I was on my way to alternate route. I kind of put that to the side this past year. So I am involved in the school systems, several of them, some of which was a little bit Saddlebrook in the past, not now, in terms of the substituting. But I'm here for your children. I'm here for your ears, your eyes, and your mouth for the children.
Okay, next question. And we're going to give a minute and a half, I think. What are your thoughts on the current and the proposed budget for the school district? And let's start with Mr. Laurentino.
Sure. The budget we know in Saddlebrook is extremely tough. We have to face it. We just don't have the funds to do everything that we want. As we're aware, the vast majority of our budget, I mean, not an expert, about 85% is fixed costs. It only leaves about another 15% of discretionary money to spend on what we think is important. I think what we need to do right now is we have to take whatever money we can and focus it towards the classroom to increase the education for our children. Being in the public sector, we're not going to mysteriously create money from somewhere. We're not going to raise prices. If we look at that, we know the state's going to come in, they're going to give us less money. They're going to come in with more mandates. They're going to force us to pay for that's going to take further away from our budget. So I give the current board a lot of credit because I know they are working on a very tight budget. And really, if I'm elected, I will work to take whatever discretionary money that we have and direct that towards the classroom. Thank you.
Ms. Torber.
Sure. Follow that one. I have to say that I agree very much with what Mr. Laurentino just said, and having been on the board for the last few months, I got to see that firsthand. Actually, I think I came in just as they were doing budget, and as a parent of district, it was eye-opening to see what they had to work with. It's a very difficult thing to sit in a room and try to decide what you're going to do to make that number. Some really hard decisions were made this year. They were very hard decisions. We didn't take them lightly, and I think that going forward, they're not going to get any easier. And as long as we work as a team and get creative, to, like Mr. Laurentino said, we need to focus on the classrooms and the kids, and that's the most important thing. And I think that's what we've done, and I think we need to continue to do that.
Ms. Traverso.
I have very mixed feelings about the budget, that particular referendum question. I'm not saying I'm saying yes or no at this time, because I really don't know, and I'm still very mixed about it. But I will say that, every so often we come up with, okay, let's do it. It's only going to be $40 more a year, $80 more a year, per family, per household. But when that happens more and more as the years are going on, the families that are here that didn't come into this town with a lot of money still don't have a lot of money. It's hurting. So what do you do? And I don't have an answer to that, and I agree with both of my fellow candidates right here. Where do you go? I don't have that answer right now. Maybe being on the inside and learning about it is going to give me more of those answers. But right now, I really can't give you an honest answer which way I'm going with this.
Ms. Robinson.
Hi. So for me, the budget has been, since I've been on the board from the beginning, back in 2000, whatever it was, I've been on the budget committee. I've seen how the state has cut our funding from 2008, we had $1.7 million. In 2009, we got $300,000. We're trying to, over these years, trying to make up for that difference. And over the course of 10 years, it's like $6 million that we would have had from the state and not the taxpayer, and also would have helped our budget in general. So I know that we have a very tight budget. Contracts have to be met, so whatever's left over is all we have to live with. And I'm going to talk about this question for a second. When we have to cut and move and do everything, we can't go out and get a second job to help pay the bills. We have to cut. We have to move around. We have to change. We have to manipulate. We have to be creative. And it's not an easy task to do. And when we have a second question like this, it's to help our base budget grow a little more so we have a little more money so we can be able to do the things we need to do for our students. It's all about our kids and their achievement. And if we don't have enough funds, which we don't, we have to be creative. And honestly, like I said, I've been on the budget committee, so it's very tight. So thanks.
Mr. Accomando.
Mr. Laurentino is right, you need to put it back in the classrooms, but with a 2% cap every year and your costs are going up 12 to 15% at least, it's hard to maintain that budget. Unfortunately, things are going to get cut, but then you got to go through it line by line and see what needs to and what doesn't need to be done. Me, I feel like sometimes the budget is a little too administrative heavy. Too many salaries going out for administrations. Do we need them? Absolutely. As far as these questions, I'm still iffy on it, to be honest with you. But it's not easy to maintain a budget in this type of a district with this with that amount of money. So it's going to be tough the next coming year, coming months, and unfortunately, things are going to have to be done people do what they want.
Mr. Kaplan?
I agree with previous candidates. We live in Saddlebrook, not Apple Saddle River, right? So money are tight, right? And I think the question should be asked, hey, do we have any other more important projects in town, in our schools, that we should be doing? I hate to vote for 15 questions for 15 different items in one time, because like, you cannot address all of them in one shot, right? So, and again, the question is, do we have any other more important project, right? My kids go to Franklin School, and I know Franklin School just got air conditioners in their rooms last year, right? That's a screaming project. How can you teach, how can you learn something when temperature rise into 100 degrees? We still don't have air conditioners in a gym, right? So I'm friends with a gym teacher, right? He said, hey, I cannot teach them. I can barely ask them to walk, right? So there are more important issues, right? If you look at hierarchy of needs by Maslow, right? If anyone of you guys took marketing classes, there are, different issues should be addressed in different order, right? So you have much more important things that critical, right? Aftercare, using a gym in Franklin School, and like I said, gym doesn't have air conditioner, right? I can run 5 miles. When I was on kindergarten graduation, I almost passed out, it was that hot. So I think all those items are very important, but there are other projects that are more important. Thank you.
A minute for this question. Research has shown that homework beyond a set amount per night, 10 minutes per grade level, is anxiety causing and detrimental to kids' health. What are your feelings about the amount of homework the students receive?
I don't know, when I was a kid, we had homework for hours. But I don't know if it's necessarily the amount of homework they get, but I think it's the amount of books they have to bring home and carry. There's plenty of time in school to do work, but of course, the more practice you do, the better you get at it. So homework is good, but not overkill. If they could do it more computer-based, that would be great, but I'm not sure.
Ms. Traversa?
I didn't have hours of homework when I was a kid, and my feelings are here. The average student, we're going to take the average student, or of course, even those that might be honor students, as opposed to the kids that are now receiving more special ed than ever when I was a kid. If they've got the concept in the classroom, they don't need the homework. They just don't. They've got it. Again, the average to the honor side. Don't necessarily need it. They don't need the review at home. Do they need to do research papers still maybe, which they don't really do like we used to do? Possibly. Those types of work, those types of projects, sure. Every night homework for an hour or 2 hours, I think is ridiculous. You're taking away from, you're taking their mental health is what you're doing. You're taking that and you're just squeezing everything into their little brains and saying, have this memorized by tomorrow so you can pass the test. That's what you're doing. Instead of saying, did you learn the concept in my classroom? That's where we need to focus. Give them the time in the classroom. Somehow, I don't know how, I don't have an answer to that part. But I don't think you need a lot of homework to answer the question straight out.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes. So I believe we have homework guidelines in our district. I personally am not a big fan of homework. I think homework should be reading and practicing some concepts, maybe in math. Should not be penalized for not doing it. And then students should be, they should learn the material. So in other words, if they're not going to get penalized, but if they don't understand it, they should practice the work. So I'm not a big proponent of it. I don't think it should be hours and hours, but it should be things just to reinforce skills and to promote reading like that.
Mr. Kaplan?
Well, I believe in professionals, right? Teachers are professionals. Again, in Franklin School, I had amazing experience. My kids had amazing teachers, right? They have best interest of my kids in mind, and they're professionals. They should decide how much homework should be given, and it shouldn't be a guideline. They should decide based on a level of understanding in a class, right? Maybe some kids don't need homework. Some kids have to have more homework, right? Again, it has to be decided by the teacher in a classroom. Nobody should mandate you, hey, like you should do this homework. If kids got it, kids got it. If they didn't get it, they should get double amount of work, triple amount of work. Practice makes it perfect, right? But again, it should be decided by professionals. You have amazing principals, you have amazing teachers, at least in Franklin School. So I don't think they need the guidance. They can determine this themselves based on kids' understanding of specific subjects. Thank you.
Ms. Torber?
So I have to agree with some of the things that Mrs. Robinson said. I don't think I believe in no homework. I think that there shouldn't be hours of homework every night. Again, there's going to be some students that may need the extra work to master the concept that was taught in the classroom. I'm actually looking forward to working with Mrs. Violetti has started a program. I believe you probably have seen the email. She sent it out to all the parents. I'm looking forward to working on that. She actually wants to dive deep into this whole concept about homework. So I'm really interested to see what we're going to be reading. She's going to be giving us stuff to read, and we're going to be discussing it, so I'm looking forward to that. I think this is a really important thing to look at. My daughter comes home sometimes and has hours of homework, and it makes her anxiety levels go through the roof. So,
Mr. Laurentino?
I think homework is an important topic. I think we have to listen to the studies that are out there. I'm very happy that our district is looking at homework. I do think homework needs to be age appropriate. A young child should not be coming home with 2-3 hours of homework. I do like to see reading. I think reading is very important. We have to get our kids reading a little bit more. Some lighter homework when they're younger, reinforcing their math. I think as they do get older, we have to start preparing them for going to college. If you go to college, it's 20% classroom, 80% at home. If we don't develop those skills in kids to learn how to do work on their own, they're not going to succeed at the next level. So just as they get older, we do have to give them a little bit more, teach them their time management skills, because as they get older, that's going to be very important. Thank you.
For this next question, we're going to go for 2 minutes because I have 3 questions sort of dancing around the same topic. So think of it as you can answer each part or zero in on what you want to say about what do you think the major issues are facing the Saddlebrook district? What would your priorities be? Or is there a particular issue that motivates you to want to serve on the board? And we're going to start with Ms. Corbett.
okay. I think we have a couple. I think one of the big ones that I would like to talk about is maintaining our administration. I think that we had a rough time there where we were losing administration quite often. I think we have a really great team in place now, and I think it's important as a board member and a board as a whole to support them so that they can succeed, and then in turn our children can succeed. I think that's really important. So that would be one of the things I think I'd like to focus on. You want me to say that? I think that kind of covers all, because it's one of our major issues, it's a priority, so yeah, it kind of covers everything.
Mr. Laurentino.
Surprise, surprise.
My priority is to get the best possible education for our kids. But I want to be clear what I think our major issue is. Any organization, your most important resource is your people. In education, our most important people are going to be our teachers, our specialists, our paraprofessionals. But they need direction, they need guidance, they need a vision. One thing Saddlebrook is lacking is we have no guidance, no vision, no direction. We've gone 5 superintendents in 8 years, multiple principals, multiple administrators. Although each one may have been excellent at what they do, we are consistently changing direction. And what is that causing? That is causing our kids' education to suffer. If we are not going to fix that, we are not going to get anywhere. We are on the treadmill, running as fast as we can, getting nowhere. We need a clear vision, clear direction to give our staff guidance on where we want to go. We need to raise the bar. It's that simple saying, if you don't know where you're going, you are never going to get there. And to be clear, if anybody sees me out campaigning, that is my #1 priority, is to bring stability back to the district so we can change the culture so people want to stay here. If you think back to the days of Miss Gorman, people wanted to be in Long School. They wanted to work there. Yes, some people are going to leave for the money, but if you develop a culture where people want to stay, where they're part of something bigger than themselves, our best teachers will stay. And I should have finished that lifesaver before I started. But yeah, and that's exactly what I'm all about, and that's why I'm here to get stability back to Saddlebrook. Just think, if Dr. Katz has stood and we can't go back into the past, but can you imagine where this district would be today, 5 years later, looking back? Let's start that now going forward, so in 3, 5, 6 years, we can look back and say, hey, we did do the right thing, we did do the right education by our children. Thank you.
Mr. Accomando.
I agree, getting 100%. But the major issues are budget, safety, and I believe we need better professional development. We're getting professional development to teach for the test, not to teach our kids. Priorities, of course, is student achievement, and what motivates me is my kids and proper education for them, the rest of my family, my nephews, and the community. You know, and hopefully, like Vinny said, we'll get all the wrongs right and be on our way.
Ms. Traverso.
Yeah, we can't top Vinny, I have to say. We will not top Mr. Laurentino. And I do agree with almost everything he said. So many people, not just this district, but so many people focus on, oh, we need the best test scores. We may not be, I don't know, Franklin Lakes, or we may not be, Timbuktu and whatever. We may never get there. We might. But what's happening, again, I'm going to fall back on the kids that aren't the average or above, and maybe even the average and below. They may not be your, whatever SAT scores are now, 1,600 or 2,400 or whatever they're at this point. I know they've changed. They may not get to the #1 school. They may not become an Ivy League, whatever, a doctor, a lawyer. It doesn't matter. And yes, I'm speaking from several of my own kids who struggled through school. 2 of them are very successful right now. I have no issues, no worries about them. That's great. We need to do that for every student. Are academics a priority? Yes, absolutely. But we need to focus on also their emotional well-being, their safety, and then the communication in this town. Because that is like the biggest thing. The communication right now, nobody knows from anything other than the garbage we see on, social media. But without a positive emotional well-being, your student isn't going anywhere. They're just not. They may fall apart. Third grade, they may fall apart as a senior, which is the wrong time to fall apart. Give them what they need now, so they don't necessarily need the help later. And we had too many, negative things happen in this town over the last few years. As we all know, it's not a secret. And could they have been prevented? We don't know. I mean, none of us know personally if that could have been prevented, or any of those things could have been prevented. But where was the help? Did anybody see it? A friend, a teacher, an administrator, a parent? I mean, that's really all I can say, is mental health is the #1 issue right now for these kids. Our society has made them so anxiety-ridden. I believe you used that word earlier, Vicki. The stress is up to here for these kids, whether it's academics, sports, trying to get out of their home because they want, it's time to move on, whatever the deal is. So I think we need to look at that in addition to the academics. Sorry.
Ms. Robinson?
Hi. There are a few major issues that I see. One that I agree with Mr. Laurentino is that we need to keep consistency in our administration and in our teaching staff. We need to keep people here so we can have that stability and consistency. I think that's key. And I think that currently we're in a really good place and we just have to continue to move forward. I think that having the new superintendent and administrators, that we have a new vision and we're trying to get there, but we need to keep that consistency to do that. The second part is student achievement. Kids need to be ready for 21st century skills. They need to be able to function in the world. And that also goes along with my other issue, which someone else had mentioned, was the social, intellectual, and emotional well-being of our kids. We have to educate them everywhere. Their social, emotional learning is important, just as important as academics. They need to know how to cope. Kids don't have coping skills these days. We have to teach them how to manage the world. And for me, there's no one priority. I think these are all the things. Obviously, the budget, and that's something that I really can't do much about. But all these other things, we really can help our kids to be functioning members of society. And what motivates me, honestly, is my love of the Saddlebrook community.
Mr. Kaplan.
I would agree strongly with Vincent and Mike. Teachers are a very important part of teaching process, right? So we have to. If I get elected, I think I'm gonna focus on continuing education, right? What kind of continuing education teachers get? Teachers love to teach, they love to learn, right? So if you wanna have better teachers, we wanna make sure that they take in right continuing education classes we provide them, right? My example would be, according to CDC Center of Disease Control, 11 kids, on average 11 kids between age 3 and 7 have ADHD, what's known attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Do teachers get enough education on this? Can they pinpoint which kid has, how to talk to parents, how to address this issue? Statistically, most likely, 1 or 2 kids per class have it, right? They slow down whole class. They are not learning. They are not taking something home, right? Teacher does not know necessarily how to deal with this, how to bring it to parents. Teachers are not doctors, but they can bring it to parents, address it, especially if you have a first child, right? That's an important factor. Another intangible that we don't have enough money in the district, right? But we can give intangible to teacher, keep them here, right? I notice in my own company, right? I manage accounting department. Many people don't know how to invest their retirement account, what to do with that. If we provide that to a teacher, if we teach them, if we show them how to invest their retirement account properly, right? They don't have to give them necessarily high salary, but they will see how their retirement account grow, how they getting wealthier. That's the way, again, good retirement account is intangible, and that would keep teachers in school. Thank you.
A minute for the next question. Parents with children in multiple schools have cited incredible difficulty getting to all of their children on time for pickup and finding parking spots on overcrowded streets. Residents have aired grievances about parents and caregivers blocking driveways and driving in an unsafe manner during drop-off and pickup. Do you have a solution to this issue?
They easily have a police department here, right? Let them issue tickets and bring revenue to a town. It annoys me when people block in, everything, like, just walk 50 meters extra, what's the big deal, And like I said, we have amazing police department, let's generate revenue for a town, like why somebody else has to park in the middle of the street, and somebody else has to suffer. We can all walk, we know how to walk, it's relatively easy, it's super healthy, let's do it. I mean, it's a perfect solution, it's super easy, it's nothing to think about. Let's solve something else. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson.
I know that in general that's an issue not just in Saddlebrook, but in a lot of towns, especially in the schools where I work, how to have the drop-off lines, maybe look at a way that we can do things a little differently. I live by Smith School and I see the line of cars, and I also drive by other schools and I see the lines of cars, and I understand that's how it is. And again, like I said, it's like that in other places, but it is something to look at and maybe come up with different solutions. I believe that the principals probably have plans and how they manage the traffic by the school, but I think it's something that we could definitely look at and see if there's a better way to do that.
Ms. Traverso.
I mean, there's a possibility of maybe trying to stagger it a little more so. I mean, when we have delayed openings due to snow or whatever, we stagger them. And they used to be staggered by very minimal amounts of times in the past, what is it, year and a half, thereabouts, whatever it's been, close to 2 years. It's now a big, wide range. You know, I forget exactly what the time is off the top of my head between elementary and middle school, high school. But they did it there. Maybe there's something we can do the rest of the year. You know, again, I don't know, you can't do a half hour, 45 minutes maybe, but maybe the 20 minutes makes a difference. Maybe the 40, I don't know. But we need to look at either staggering, of course, I agree with Mr. Kaplan. Maybe the police department can help in some way. I mean, they themselves probably have their own budget issues and can't get enough, you know, officers out there. And we have a wonderful police department. So I'm sure they're willing to work with us if they can. But, and I actually agree with Ms. Robinson that we need to get maybe another committee together, if you want to call it that, you know, with your principals, with your Board of Ed, with the superintendent, and see what we can do, because it is a problem. It's definitely a problem.
Mr. Armando.
Sure. Well, what we could do is see if we can go through the budget again, see if we can bring back the buses to make less cars on the road. Two, of course, have Mr. Hageman hand out the warnings. You know, it's difficult wherever you go. I believe we had a parent a few years back that was offering to put the U-shaped driveway in front of Smith School, make the drop-off and pick-off a lot easier. But unfortunately, that fell through the wayside. Little things like that would help, little areas of pick-up and drop-offs. Unfortunately, a lot of schools are on one way, I believe, some. But hopefully, they'll come to a conclusion of how to fix it.
Mr. Martino.
Anyone doesn't know, I do work in another school district as a, lost my voice, class 3 police officer. And what we do over there for people with young children is they allow the parent to come early to the school to pick up the younger child to go to the other school so that they don't have that problem of getting two children at the same time. I think the problem with the parking, I worked many years at the PD, it's a perceived versus real problem. A lot of times you go, this person's parked improperly, and they may be, but they're not illegal. And if they're not illegal, we cannot make them move. It's just been a problem in Saddlebrook, 27 and a half years we had. I think we do a really good job at drop-off and pick-up. If you look at the amount of accidents, injuries we have, the PD does do a great job. I'm sure if we ask them, they'll put cars out there every morning. Sergeant Hageman, I'm sure he's been out there plenty of times himself. The PD is most certainly willing to work with the school, and I see no problem with the mayor and the police chief to get more officers out there to keep an eye on.
Ms. Corbett.
I don't have a whole lot to add to everything everybody has said. I think that as the part about people speeding, and well, I think that goes back on the person who's driving the car. They need to drive properly when they're in a school zone. And again, I think that our police can help us with that. I think that maybe we should take a look at the different schools and see if there's anything we could do differently. You know, my daughter went to Smith, and it could be harrowing there sometimes, picking up and dropping off. So I agree with that. We should take a look at it and see what we can do.
Okay. Minute and a half. Sorry to keep changing the time.
Fine.
What are your thoughts on the school district's programs for special education students, English language learners, and gifted students?
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
Thoughts on the programs for special ed students, English language learners, and gifted students?
I don't know enough about the programs for the gifted students, to be honest. Special ed, again, some of my own children have been in the programs, and I like them. But you also have to be there to advocate for that, for your child. Because if you're not, those programs mean nothing. Because they're not necessarily stayed on top of, if you know what I mean. Many a times, I mean, I've done letters, I've done personal communications with those involved, so forth and so on. Does it come out in the end to the positive for my child? Yeah, it does. But I did that work. The school didn't do that work. The district, I should say, didn't do that work. The English language learners, I don't know if we have enough of the right staff for that. That's one place where well, then again, I also think that each school, at least before the middle and high school, each of the elementary schools probably have a different amount of clientele that need the English language learning additional. Again, being in other school districts, I see kids that speak the one language, and it's January and they still haven't gotten anybody for them. So I'm just using that school as an example. I'm hoping we don't have that here, because again, I also don't have that much experience with the English language learners, second language learners. So I think we need to build those up, all three of them. I would love to be on a committee to work on just those three alone. That's something I would enjoy doing.
Mr. Accomando.
As of right now, I believe that our programs are doing pretty well. I honestly don't know much about how many students are in ESL, to be honest with you. As far as special education, they're doing something right. I believe, you don't really hear too many complaints about it. And I don't really know too much about the program.
Mr. Valentino.
I think one of the things about me is I know what I don't know. I'm going to try and impress people by making up answers. What I will do if I'm on the board is I will educate myself as much as possible. I think when it comes to special education, it's our responsibility to make sure that each child reaches their ceiling. The school I work in is a special education school. I have an absolute new respect for special education, the teachers, the specialists, the paraprofessionals that work with the children, to see the advancements that they make. It's something that to me is just incredible. For talented and gifted, my children have gone through talented and gifted program here. The program has changed. We're not going to get it back to where it was, but I think what we're doing now is excellent because we're taking kids, we're challenging them, we're trying to raise their level. As for the English, I will have to learn a lot about that. I'm willing to do it as I did to my police career. I will go to as many trainings as they offer. I know I've been to one already. I know there's a lot that are offered. I know that's what I'm going to learn. I also have to rely on the experts that we have. So hopefully what I will do is make the best possible educated decisions I can to bring the district forward. Thank you.
Ms. Torba.
So I think I'll start with the gifted students, because I had a unique opportunity to sit with Mrs. Shanley and actually have her show me how she was going to revamp the gifted program. And I have to say, it was pretty great to sit there and listen to what she had to say and what she was going to do. She has some extensive education in this, and I think it's really going to work out well for our kids, the way the program has changed. I think it's just, again, something to get used to. It's a change, but I think it's going to be great. As for our special ed programs, again, I think this falls into a little bit of what I said before about keeping continuity and keeping, we have our new director of special services, and I think it's important to have her here and let her get deep into what's been going on and really take a look at how we're handling the cases that are here in district. Do the cases that are going out need to go out? Can we give those services here? What new services can we get for students? All of those things that pertain to that, and I think that it's important that she has the opportunity to take a really good look at that along with the other administrators and see what we can do. Much like Mr. Martino said, I don't know a lot about ELL, but I'm willing to learn about it. I'll stop talking. That was my bell.
That's true.
Oh, great. I finally got to go loud.
Mr. Kaplan.
Just like Vincent, I don't know enough to make a decision to tell you my thoughts about this. If there is an ESL program, I would like to sign up for that, right? So you understand it better, right? My kids were not in talented and gifted program. Like I said, I'm strongly for ESL. I need it, right? Special education, again, it's great. I just don't know enough to make a decision or to give you any information how I feel about that. But if I'm elected, I would love to learn more. Thank you.
Ms. Robbins?
So the gifted and talented program has now moved to the different schools in each building to be more inclusive, and I think that's a good move, and I think it may address some of the needs, because I truly believe every child is gifted in some way, and I believe we need to tap into that, regardless of what that might be. As far as special education, we have good programs, but our new director, now that's another thing, we have not had a consistent director. We've had more directors than we've had anything here. So having a new director, I know she's analyzing and monitoring our programs and our classes to make sure we can meet the needs of all our students who have special education needs. And the ELL program, I'm not really sure exactly what we have, but I'm sure that our program does service our students who are English language learners as best that we can.
1 minute. Can you or should you support a board decision that you were not in favor of? And let's start that you may have voted against.
Okay. So yes, I can or should be, support it. Okay, I'm confused, but anyway. So there's times I don't agree with things that happen, and I do express my concerns. I do also believe it depends on what the topic is as to, that's important. Sometimes we just have a lot of discussions, I should say a lot of times we have very long discussions about issues, and everybody says their opinion, and my opinion may not be what the majority wants, but in consensus, I will definitely vote for the majority. But again, it depends on the issue. Some issues, we do that, and some I can't. So it really depends on what the issue is and who it affects and what it is.
Mr. Kaplan?
That's a great answer, by the way. I would agree with that. There are multiple issues that could rise, right? And certain issues you can compromise based on your moral code, and certain you cannot, right? And that's the point to have different people on a board, right? So they disagree with each other, and they hopefully bring different opinion, and hopefully majority would decide what's right for town, for schools, right? But it's hard to say without knowing what specific issue you're talking about. So, but overall, like I said, we're all different. We have different views. I would like to be able to convey my view, and I definitely would listen. And I think that's the advantage of having so many people, because they can express their opinion and try to persuade you. And majority should decide what's right.
Ms.
Thank you.
Torbert?
So I have to agree with Mrs. Robinson. I think it's very important, most important, that as a board we respect each other and we listen to each other. I think that it's also very important that the board presents itself as a whole. But there are times, like Mrs. Robinson said, where I think it would really depend on what it was that we were discussing, that you may need to express your own opinion on that. But I think it's very important that we discuss it with each other, because there might be something that you believe in and you may sway me too. So I think that's the important part about talking it over. Who may have the better idea. We may think of something we never thought of before, and that's really important. But again, I think it would really depend on what it was that was being discussed.
Mr. Laurentino?
To be a two-part answer. I think some of the complaints I've come across is there's no way it's possible that the board votes 9-0 on everything. You're trying to tell us there's not one dissenting vote. That's not a bad thing to have open discussions. What I will do is, if I believe in something, I'm the only one, I'm going to vote the way I want to vote for what I believe in. But I think what's important is after that vote, should I be on the losing side? And I'm going to vote publicly for what I want to vote. It's at that point we need to support that decision and do what we best can to implement that decision. You know, you can't say I didn't get my way, so I'm going to, pull in the corner and go home. No, it's what do we have to do to make that decision best work so we can best educate the kids.
Mr. Ackerman.
Okay, yeah, but he's right, what he said. Also, there was a resident last meeting who said, how is it 9-0 every meeting? And you know what, he's 100% right. We're all individuals, and we should be able to be entitled to our opinion. But sometimes, when you have your own opinion, other than 8 other people, you're looked down as, oh, he's the cog in the wheel, or she's the cog in the wheel. Yes, you have to have mutual respect for each other, that's true, but we also have to have respect for the community, what the community wants us to do for them, because we're their advocates. So if I do have something to say, I'm going to say it. If it's not what people want to hear, then feelings are going to get hurt, I guess, either mine or theirs.
Ms. Traverso?
They pretty much all use the same words I was going to use, swaying and respect and, so forth. I will walk in and have an open mind. So if you came to me and said, we need to do a $475,000 budget, I'm not going to walk in and go, sure, why not? I want to hear, I want to get the details, I want to get the information about it. Tell me why, explain to me why. Maybe you'll prove me the opposite way. So if you're asking, will I support if it happens? Yes. If you're asking me, can? Well, that's yes too. But I want to hear details, and I want to hear why maybe your reason's better than mine, or vice versa, and so forth. So yes, to answer that question, it goes along with everything that everyone said here.
Minute and a half. What do you want to see added to the Saddlebrook Public School curriculum? Or what would you like to see added? And why?
I know, I'm like,
Or maybe there's nothing.
no, I don't believe that's true, but I think that, I know people are gonna laugh, but I actually think that we need to bring back some of the things that we, and I know why we did it, so that's why I know that, a lot of the kids, they can go to the tech schools and things, and they get a lot of the, 21st century stuff, like we were talking about, that kind of stuff, but I find it interesting that, we have a shortage of plumbers and carpenters and things like that now, because kids aren't going in that direction anymore, and we took all that stuff out of our schools and things like that. So I don't know, I think that's something that maybe if we could, I don't see it coming back, but if we could, that we could bring that back. Sorry.
Ms. Traverso?
I was just saying, I was going to just basically say, something along the lines of the home economics or tech. I mean, I have a son who did go out to tech his high school years, but then chose not to do anything in that field. So it may not necessarily be the right thing for every kid. He tried it, didn't like it, it is what it is. But, I mean, the kids are offered so much right now. I really do think that Saddlebrook does offer a great deal of classes and diverse classes. Sometimes making it a little more stressful, like I mentioned earlier. Maybe they can't always make those decisions. But I think it's out there, so I don't know that there's anything major that we do need to add. But I would like to see some of that cooking, sewing, whatever, how to pay a bill, how to write a checkbook type of thing, because they still do have to learn to do those things.
Let's see. Mr. Arcolondo?
Life skills. Just like I said, some kids aren't going to be going to college, so maybe they've got to learn how to do a trade or what have you. One other thing I'd like to see in our district, not necessarily curriculum, but have an open house so people can see what we do or don't have. You see all these schools now that are having commercials on TV, come see what we have and see what they have. We're not providing that for anybody. And that's why we're losing kids from our middle school to high school, because we're not providing them or the parents with an opportunity of what we do have, or lack thereof. Thank you.
Mr. Cap?
I would just agree with what Mike says. It's a great idea, life skills for high school, maybe some kind of trade for high school, so college is not for everybody, not because they're not smart, maybe just because they don't want to do it, right? Being a plumber is an amazing profession, that put a lot of money in your pocket. Yeah, it's a big shortage. I would agree with you, right? And another thing that I would add is, again, based on a Franklin school, we were, like kids were learning Italian, right? I don't have anybody Italian in my family. They are not going to immigrate to Italy. This language may not be as appealing to my kids, right? Maybe we can have an option of, like Spanish is very popular, right? Or like they can use it every day, right? So now it's switched to, it's the first year when we have Spanish, right? I mean, to me, it's like it's super obvious, right? I mean, like that's something that you can use every day, right? And again, when I bought a house, it was predominantly Italian town. I totally understand it, but maybe we can make a choice. One of the schools would offer Italian or something. If you really want to learn Italian, sure. But I think there are more practical languages such as Spanish, so that would go a long way for all the kids. And it doesn't make sense to switch from one language to another one to a third, then we don't know any language. So that's what I'm saying.
You're not Italian?
I live in Saddlebrook.
Ms. Robinson?
Yes. I know we're trying to add mindfulness and things in the elementary school, but sorry. Also more, student-centered learning, that kids can do something fun in school and enjoy school. I know I was a kindergarten teacher for a long time, and now I think kindergarten is like 3rd grade. And I just feel like we need to have more social learning and game playing, and even if it's educational, I'm sure we do. I'm not saying that we don't, but I'm just saying in general in society, that's what I'm saying. And more, maybe some student-centered learning based on their interests, and having those centers and opportunities for the younger kids to be able to do that. And maybe in the high school, depending on the interests also of the kids, to have more electives or different electives or interesting electives, exciting electives, something different that maybe we don't have here. Just, based on student interest, and something we can look forward to, do a student survey and see maybe the types of electives they would want to have, just to become more well-rounded.
A minute and a half?
I didn't get to answer that one.
They didn't answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I and you get, I can't remember what it was, a minute and a half.
8 minutes.
Well, it's interesting talking about adding, because let's face it, we're a district that is gotten. So to add something would be extremely difficult. What I would like to see added, if we ever could, if I had it, would be more foreign language classes. People say, you live in America, you can speak English. That is just so not real world. What I do, I wish I spoke multi-languages. My bankers, they speak more languages than I can think of. If you can speak more than one language, you become such an asset to any company. It's just tremendous. So if I could, I would just add more languages, and the diverse languages, to our curriculum. Thank you. Thanks for remembering me.
School safety is clearly a priority for parents. What measures will you take to increase safety at schools while taking into consideration that excessive lockdown drills can be incredibly anxiety-producing for sensitive children? Moreover, what is your position on permanent police presence in schools?
Wheelhouse question, huh? If you're not aware, the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office came into the school security assessment of the entire district, for which Lieutenant Johnson and I were the representatives on that, so I actually did implement security here in Saddlebrook. I also worked with Mr. Karate getting the video monitoring system at the police desk so the police department can monitor the schools. I do think school security is a priority. I do think, and I do believe, your children are safe when they're in school. Saddlebrook has done some excellent things, especially with last year's referendum, to make the schools safe. I worked as a Class 3 police officer in Fairlawn. You see around us, Elmer Park, Fairlawn, Lodi, Garfield, all has police officers or security in their schools. Are they all wrong and we're right? I think our biggest issue right now in putting police officers in schools, because I firmly believe they're needed, is the budget. I think if we can work with the town, start working in that direction,
What I would like to see right now is we have John Fontana, who does security in the middle school, high school. John's part-time. I know we have Chris Stanton, who's our school resource officer, but he works the entire district. He gets pulled out. I would like to see somebody work opposite Mr. Fontana, so we have the school security officer in the school all day. I would also like to see them armed. Some people may be against that. I've been involved in 2 active shooters here. That's where somebody has the gun and they're still active. It can happen here. The important thing about arming the officer, done in 1 second, is if you look at Newton, the shooter started 9:34. First call goes in 9:35. Police officers arrive 9:39. That's 4 minutes of killing. Within 1 minute of that police officer getting there, that shooting was stopped. That is what we're taught to with active shooters, is pin that shooter down and stop him from the amount of killing that happens. Sorry for going over.
Well, but I let you go because it was important information.
We're okay with that.
We're okay.
Okay, Ms. Robinson.
So school safety, I think we have put in a lot of measurements, like the last referendum with the security system, the lockdown system, the ability to, we're getting the doors for the man traps, like we've done a lot. And thank you to the taxpayers for passing that question last year, because it really has helped us improve our security measures. I also feel that, teachers, as far as the anxiety with the lockdown, it is anxious. I have to do it all the time. Sometimes, yeah, it is anxiety ridden, but I think that it's a necessary evil in these days and times, and we have to do it. I think that permanent police present, I'm not sure about that. It's something that I know in my district, we have police officers who spend some time at each school. They're not there all day long, but they'll come and they'll spend a little time every day. I'm okay with that. I think it really depends. I'm not really sure how I feel about that 100%. I think we should have police presence, but not about permanent. I think it's something we should have as a deterrent, and I have to think more about that. Thanks.
Mr. Kaplan?
My view probably wouldn't be traditional or standard. I think we live in somewhat safe town. Again, we have 6-7 schools in Saddlebrook. You can't put police officer in each school, right? And if you do, what if happens if he goes on lunch? What if he goes to restroom? Yeah, I grew up in violent country, right? Maybe high school it's necessary, but elementary school, I don't see need for police officers there, right? When I go to my children's school, right, I have to be buzzed in, they open the door, so it's not like you can just run into it. I think our school is somewhat secure. Again, for high school, maybe high school, middle school, but for elementary schools, I don't see a reason, I don't see a need, right? We live in somewhat secure town. I just, if I want to break into school, I'm not going to go through front door. I'm going to go through like rear door, where the kids go to school, go home. If there is a police officer, and somebody wants to shoot kids, he just choose different paths, different way. You cannot give police officer to every child, right? And again, we live in somewhat secure town. Thank you.
Mr. Alcamando?
I unfortunately am not on the same page as Mr. Kaplan. I do believe we need officers, and like Vinny said, armed officers in every building. If not an officer, then a retired veteran. Because it can be a deterrent. And I didn't realize that Vinny was that involved with the security, so thank you, because our security system, I think, is one of the best in the area for our kids. As far as the cameras per school is amazing, the buzzing in, the man traps. And again, I think that the police officers would be a huge deterrent for someone who did want to come in and do something asinine, if I can say.
Ms. Traverson?
I am for it, and I'm going to add to Vinny's list of schools, Hackensack, where I am almost full-time, has a full-time officer in each of the schools. And he's also, when the kids are on the field outside the playground, he's on the field outside the playground. So it's not just in the school. Otherwise, the other doors are locked. Of course, you can't get in, other than the front door like we do here, of course, at this school, which does make you feel a little more secure. Maybe an extra inconvenience, but that's possibly saving a life, or 2, or 100. So I'm absolutely all for the security that's going on, and I do thank you, Vinny, for being part of that.
Ms. Jobin?
I'm going to say the same things everybody else said. As we all know, there's been many things that have been done this year for the safety of the children. And I want to say a little bit about the part of the question about the excessive lockdown drills. As far as I understand, we're required to do a certain amount by the state, so there's nothing we can really do about that. And I also agree, I believe it was Mrs. Robinson, but correct me if I'm wrong, that said that I think it also, it is a necessary evil, but it also preps the kids, so you don't want the first time they ever hear the alarms to be when we're in an active shooter or something like that would be horrible. This, kind of trains them to do what they're supposed to do, and if you've ever been in a room when it's happened, the kids are pretty amazing with following what they're supposed to do and learning the steps. So I have to say thank you to everybody that voted for that to pass, because the stuff that's been done has been amazing. I have to say I'm a little bit on the, I don't know how I feel about having an armed police officer in the school all the time. I would love to talk about it more with you, because I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on that, because you're very passionate about it, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. And that's still just being honest. I'm kind of in the middle.
I think this is going to be our last question. Different handwriting. Do you have, and this will be a minute.
Okay.
Do you have a conflict of interest within the district, such as children or other relatives? How will this affect you as a board member? And
I think I do have a conflict. Well, not in, my wife works for a different school district. Is that a conflict? Well, yeah, it's a conflict with the NJEA. Other than that, I don't have any other conflicts. I'm not looking for a job. Nobody in my family's looking for a job, so I don't see any conflict other than voting on teachers' contracts or what have you.
Mr. Kaplan?
Yeah, I have invested interest. I don't have a conflict of interest, right? My kids go to Saddlebrook school, so I'm in different field, right? So I'm not going to apply for a job here. So I don't have any conflict of interest, and I don't think I will in the future. Thank you.
Ms. Robinson?
Yeah, I have no conflict of anybody in my family working in the district in any capacity. The only conflict I have is I'm part of the NJEA, so I would not be able to vote on negotiation. I mean, be part of negotiations with the teachers, and we just have contracts settled, so I think we're good with that.
Mr. Laurentino?
Yes, I have conflict, as I stated earlier. My wife, Sue, works over in Smith School. So the board ethics are clear. There are certain things I cannot talk about, or certain committees I cannot be on. However, there are multiple committees that I can serve on. And in this next statement, I'm not speaking with anybody on the current board, but I look at it this way. Would you rather have a highly competent person with some conflict, or just put them on the board because they're incompetent because they have no conflict? That's something the voters have to decide.
Mr. Nursa?
I have absolutely no conflict across the board.
Ms. Torber?
Same. I have no conflicts.
Okay, now we're going to go to closing statements. It's going to be 2 minutes. So the yellow card will go up when there's still 30 seconds to go. And let me get this into reverse order. We're going to start with Angela Robinson.
I have dedicated many years to the Saddlebrook children and community in many different capacities. I've helped pass needed referendums to ensure our schools and children can learn in a safe, up-to-date learning environment. Need to maintain and develop programs for 21st century learners and help our children develop the skills they need to progress socially, emotionally, and intellectually. I'm aware of the district's strengths as well as our challenges. With our new superintendent in place and with our dedicated teachers, staff, and administrators, we are on a path of positive change. By working together, we can overcome some of the challenges we face, and I feel I have the knowledge and experience to help move Saddlebrook forward. I'm asking for your vote because I believe in the Saddlebrook community and feel that we need consistency in our administration, educators, and staff. We've had a lot of turnover and have not been able to maintain any long-term vision for our school system. We currently have strong administration in place, and I am honored to be part of the Board of Education working with them. I know that it will take time to see improvement, and I want to be part of the progress in our district. I support our custodians, our teachers, our paraprofessionals, and administration, and acknowledge the great work that they do every single day for our children. I truly believe that Saddlebrook can be even greater than it is, and that our superintendent, with our administration and staff, can facilitate this change. I am passionate about education and believe that our children deserve the best we can give them. With good, sound administration, dedicated staff, and supportive Board of Education, Saddlebrook can only move forward.
Thank you. Next is Haley Traverso.
As I enter my third year of running for this position on the board, I share with you the following quote by Mahatma Gandhi: "Be the change that you wish to see in the world." I refer to this to tell you that I enter the election to be that for our community. There is still time to balance the scale between academics, emotional well-being, safety, and communication, not only for my children, but for all children, your children. Let me help keep Saddlebrook School District relevant and on the map in a positive light. A vote for me is a vote for change. I will help bring and keep us there.
Victoria Torbett.
So I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time this evening to join us, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to let you get to know me better. I feel that I've just gotten started on important work on the current board, and I'd like to continue forward and hopefully be able to do even better things in the future. I hope I can count on you for your vote, and I thank you.
Vincent Valentino.
You know, at the end of the day, what's it all about? It's about getting the best possible education for the kids in Saddlebrook. We need to ensure that every child reaches their ceiling. You know, as I was running for this election, I came across a friend of mine who asked me why I was doing it, and I explained, you know, I'm dedicated to improving the education. He's like, well, you're campaigning hard. You're going to be really embarrassed if you lose. I said, absolutely not. You do not do something because of fear of failure. You do something by preparing, planning, executing, putting yourself in the best position for success. I believe that's what I'll bring to our school district. I will put our children in the best possible position to succeed. That's what I'm about. The person you see up here is going to be the same guy you're going to see at the grocery store, at the ball field, or if you're hanging out at my house on Saturday night watching Michigan lose to Penn State. I'm going to tell you, and they are going to win, I'm going to tell you not only what I believe, but why I believe it. We didn't cover communication tonight, unfortunately, but I will communicate directly with the people. You can feel free to approach me anytime. I do work a lot, but I'm retired, so I have a lot of time to talk to people. So I think that's very important, what I want to achieve. And in closing, I want to thank the Long School PTO. I'd like to thank you for being our moderator tonight. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. And hopefully when you vote on November 5th, you vote Colin too. Thank you.
Michael Accomando.
Well, thank you, Ms. King. It's a long school. Thank you so much, and the other PTOs that helped you out. Thank you guys all for coming, throwing your hats back in the ring. It's something that's not easy. Again, I'm all about student achievement, student safety. I want to be the advocate for not just right now, but for the long haul, for the voice of the people. You know, I think I've done that the last 6 years, and I hope I can continue to do that for the next 3 or how many ever I am able to be up here. I enjoy doing this because it's, at the end of the day, it's those little smiles that you get to see at home that enjoy what you do. And my daughter said she wanted to come to the meeting and ask a question about the president, which is, if you only knew. But again, thank you for your support. I look forward to being on here for another 3 years. Thank you again. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And Oleg Kaplan.
Oh, again, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for, I know I'm the last speaker. Thank you for not standing up and living in the middle of it. I truly appreciate that. I'm glad you're trying to understand what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm somewhat new to a board, right? It's my first time trying to run for it. I believe I have a lot of ideas. I'm gonna learn a lot if I get elected, absolutely.
but I have a lot to offer. I'm doing this for your kids, and I'm doing this for my kids. Again, I'm completely from different industry, but I believe my financial background can benefit schools of Saddlebrook and township in general. My kids do a lot of sports, so I have ideas about sports. So once again, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying with me, and good luck during election to everybody. Thank you.
At this time, I'm going to suggest that we give applause for the candidates. I know it takes a lot of effort to study up, prepare, and sit there and be able to talk intelligently. A couple of announcements. The League of Women Voters is holding a candidate forum for Assembly District 38, in which Saddlebrook falls. It's going to be on Tuesday, October 29th, and it's in my town. It's at Eastbrook Middle School in Paramus. All the candidates are going to be showing up this time. There have been times when they don't. There's also a public question on the ballot, and it has something to do with certain veterans' benefits being given to residents of continuing care retirement communities. Currently, if a veteran is residing in their own home, they are given a $250 property tax deduction every year. But if they move into a continuing care facility, that deduction goes away. So the question is, if you support the initiative, that $250 would be extended to the continuing care facility or to the veteran there. In effect, if they have to pay for their facility, it could be going towards their care. And the reason to give it is it's giving the property tax relief as recognition of service rendered to our country, and it should follow the veteran who has to alter his or her living arrangements. A reason to vote no is that it will increase expenditures from the Property Tax Relief Fund. The estimate is a range of $350,000 to $550,000. It will be on your ballot besides, I guess in Saddlebrook you do not have any municipal election, it's just the board election. And there's a question for the school board also. If you want, I have absentee ballot applications here, and I also have a pamphlet put out by the league on choosing a candidate in New Jersey. You'll see I'm wearing a little button over here. The National League has a website called vote411.org. It's like some other websites. You go to it, you input your address. It will tell you where your polling place is in case you don't remember or don't know. It will also take you to the candidates who are on your ballot, and I guess not your ballot question because I was not aware of the ballot question, but I know that I had them add all 6 candidates' names to your ballot. You'll also have candidates running for county freeholder. So if you want to try it out, vote411.org. And the assembly candidates will be on there also. So thank you all for coming. If you want, the video will be available on the local TV channel, cable channel. Okay, so thank you all. If you want, you can talk to the candidates.